like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength, now I'm the only one, only one. I was an ordinary boy until I broke the rules, my life destroyed, a life destroyed. Until I woke awake, scream my mind, I shout, the ground shakes. How much can I take? My mind will break. Will it break? Can I take? Can I be your superhero? Superhero. Can I be your superhero? Superhero. Superhero. Superhero.
Hello there, how are you doing today? Or this evening, morning, whenever you get to see this? Are you happy to hear my voice, finally, after about a month? Because I certainly hope so, otherwise why am I even here? So, hi, I'm kind of back in a way, trying to get back into this, the whole YouTube, trying to make videos. It's a little bit hard once you take a break, in my case for about a month, to get back into things, but hey, this video for today is more or less casual in a way. I don't really want to do anything super related to numbers or stuff like that, just something, a casual conversation. Today's topic is going to be Guardian, more or less the class in general. Basically what I did with my Guardian, leveling it from 1 to 61, what was my experience with it, what I currently think about the class, and I would also like to pass this question to you as well. What are you doing with the class? What are your thoughts about the Guardian class? Did you get to reroll yet? In this past month, did you actually switch to maining Guardian? Did you perfect your combos to grind with her efficiently? Because I didn't. So that's the topic for today. I'm gonna say for the past couple of weeks I've been kind of busy with real life work, so I tried to put YouTube as a secondary priority, and in the end I didn't end up doing anything. And because of that, initially I wanted to make a separate video talking about the Guardian pre-awakening alone, when that one, when Guardian was released, because I leveled mine when she was released, and then after her awakening would come out, I would make a secondary video and compare the pre-awakening to the awakening and see what was, what is the improvement in the grinding speed, the damage and all of that. That was my initial thought, my initial plan for the class, but in the end I never had the time to make those. And so since at this point the information is more or less outdated and I don't really want to get into the numbers anyway, I guess, let's just casually talk about the Guardian. So for mine, I would like to claim that I leveled mine up to 56, 57 myself, but I didn't because, me, I'm pretty busy. If I can get a shortcut here and there, I will take it. So I asked the guildie to basically power level me all the way up to 56 or 57, basically for about an hour with experience scrolls, and see how far I can get in that 1 hour. And I managed to get myself up to 57, which was pretty nice. Even to this day, I still didn't do the main quest line because I just didn't feel like it. I probably should at some point, if I decide to maybe main the class, I should do it for the inventory spaces, classes, but I didn't. And at that point, once I got to 57, I started enhancing some weapons to get a feel for the class. And I remember it very clearly. You know, I was trying so desperately to get good weapons fast that I really didn't care at all about my fail stacks, because since I personally don't really enhance, I have a lot of fail stacks that just sit and do nothing. So I basically didn't care at all what fail stack I was using, and now looking back at it, I kind of regret using, you know, 60s, 50s, even a 73 fail stack just to get try weapons on my Guardian, because spoiler, currently I sold my Guardian weapons, you know, today, after the 1 month. I think it was like 3 weeks since she came out, but currently today I had my fun with the class and I decided to sell the weapons to basically play Mystic, since Mystic Succession came out and all of that, and now I regret a little bit spending all of those fail stacks just for try weapons. But at that time it seemed like a very good idea, because I remember when Guardian came out, the Try Kutum was actually 1.2 billion silver, so if only I sold it back then, I could have made so much profit. Anyway, after I got my try weapons, with my way too high AP, I decided to go and grind some mushrooms, you know, grind polyforest, because that's basically the best spot for low AP grind in a way. If you want the best experience, skill experience, I decided to go there, even though I knew that polyforest would be packed full of people as soon as any class comes out or any big change like this, you know, succession and stuff like that. When people level classes, obviously polyforest was going to be very overpopulated, but still I decided to give it a try. I found a rotation somewhere, I guess in the middle of the polyforest area, a rotation which I previously didn't grind. I might even show it on the screen if it's any relevant. I more or less stuck to that one, but in my first session grinding there, I actually just, you know, randomly killed any monsters, because it was basically impossible to keep any rotation at all. I remember everywhere I would look, you know, I would make 3 steps in one direction and someone would be already grinding there. Basically there were no rotations at all, just simply people randomly killing monsters. There were some people here and there who claimed, hey, this is my rotation, and I was like, are you sure about that? Because I'm looking left and right and there are already 3 other people in your rotation. But yeah, it was frustrating and fun in the same time. I can't say it was very enjoyable in a way to level her up to 60, just simply because there were too many people. That's what I'm going to say. I was kind of lazy in a way, because probably I should have moved into maybe Fogans or Nagas or anything else to level her, but at that point, you know, going all the way from polyforest into Valencia, I was just simply too lazy and I stuck with the overpopulated polyforest. At first I was actually pretty disappointed about the class, because the first couple of sessions were pretty bad. Just looking at some numbers that I pulled up, on the first session at level 58 I only got 4,500 trash in 1 hour without any loot scrolls, and I'm pretty sure that was because just simply too many people. I didn't have a rotation, I was just, you know, randomly killing stuff. On the second second session, also at 58, looks like I made 6,000 trash. Then another session at level 59, I made 7.1 thousand trash in 1 hour. So it definitely got better and better as I started to understand a little bit how to use the Guardian skills, what skills I should use, what skills I shouldn't. And the last session, it looks like it says 6.1 thousand trash, which isn't amazing, but hey, that was a pre-awakening Guardian. And at this point, I got to level 60. Once I got to level 60, I was pretty much satisfied, because, you know, at that time, I tried to level Guardian just for the rewards, and I believe back when she was released, we only had rewards up to 56. I got my Guardian to level 60 just because of the future awakening rewards, and I decided if I decide to play on her anymore, sure, but if not, level 60 is fine, you know, to leave her as a class. Once I got to 60, I moved into Blood Wolves, because I wanted to actually see once I get a feel for her skills, the rotations and all of that, I wanted to see how a pre-awakening guardian without awakening or succession would perform, because everyone said that her damage is broken, that she has very high skill multipliers, and I was actually expecting her to perform as good as my mystic in terms of clearing speed, or not necessarily clearing speed, but at least trash per hour. So my results were actually a little bit disappointing, at least at that time it seemed disappointing. Then I realized that she doesn't have awakening, so I should expect her to grind slower. From a 1 hour grinding session at Blood Wolves, I got 10,600 trash, I believe, with a normal loot scroll, and my mystic can easily get 13 or 14,000 trash, I believe even 15 if I try harder. So 10,000 trash versus the 14 or so thousand that my mystic can get seemed to be kind of low, but as I said, just pre-awakening. She didn't have awakening or succession, which we currently don't have. That's more or less what I considered her baseline. I didn't do any further testing because I didn't feel like it. It's funny how in that 1 hour at Blood Wolves I actually got 2 ring drops, which is like, my guardian seems to be blessed with good RNG. Maybe I should actually reroll to this class, because my mystic doesn't seem to want to drop any rare items. After that I spent my 60 to 61 mostly AFK training, because again I was kind of busy. I didn't really bother logging into Black Desert at all. It was mostly just to clear inventory, to buy some more AFK training books, and then just minimize the game again and go AFK. So from 60 to 61 I mostly did it AFK training. Maybe I did some small monster poking here and there, but as far as I remember it was mostly AFK training with books. And then I hit level 61 while I was testing out the awakening. I believe I had about 98% experience or so at level 60 when awakening came out, and after I did my awakening quests, I poked a little bit the Shira Ruins monsters and I got to 61. And at this point it was time to test her again. With awakening I was curious, did she get any improvements? Her awakening, I'm going to say, as a first impression, she seemed to be a lot better. I don't know why people said that her multipliers were broken, because the pre-awakening to me seemed basic. The damage was underwhelming to me. I remember on the pre-awakening Blood Wolves session, she wasn't really able to one-shot packs with one skill, something that my mystic can do, and I believe most classes with awakening can just simply one-shot a pack once they get 250 AP. I believe I had 250 AP with a Kutum on her, so the AP wasn't an issue. It was just simply that her pre-awakening kit didn't seem to have enough damage. Once I got the awakening and went back to Blood Wolves, I got another problem. I don't know if this was fixed today, but a couple of weeks ago, let's say 1 or 2, when I did that Blood Wolves session, it seems like her offhand breaks very fast. My first awakening session at Blood Wolves was 47 minutes, because after that my Kutum broke from 100 to 0. Which is very disappointing, because it reminds me of the old ranger days, back when the rangers couldn't even grind 1 hour before their weapons would break. So I hope they fix this very soon, because to me it's a very big problem. Not a lot of people bound their weapons, and to not be able to grind 1 full hour means that you can't really make use of loot scrolls or experience scrolls. Anything that has a 1 hour timer, you're basically wasting the scrolls if you cannot grind 1 hour. So first session was almost 10,000 trash in 47 minutes, which seems to be pretty good. And after that I went back basically for a second session. I believe the second one was about 55 minutes or something like that. It says here second hour as I noted it, but I'm pretty sure while editing I'm gonna show that it was, as far as I remember, maybe 56 minutes or 55. My Kutum somehow managed to last more for this one, but it still wasn't exactly 1 hour. Still, I got 13.3 thousand trash, again with a loot scroll, so that was more or less my, yes, she does have damage. As soon as I got to Blood Wolves with the Awakening, I immediately noticed that the Awakening did have a lot more damage. I was basically able to one-shot packs with just one skill like I was used to, so comparing the pre-awakening to the awakening, it's very clear that the pre-awakening has lower damage, or at least in PvE it seems to be lower damage. That's more or less it in terms of my grinding explanations with the speed and all of that. As I said, I didn't really do a lot of in-depth testing because I basically dropped the idea of making the comparison videos once I decided that I don't really have the time for them, and this is more or less just a progression series, I guess, something like that. In terms of costumes, my luck with those was actually pretty bad. I had a pre-order for the normal Guardian costume up since she was released, and I believe about a week and a half later, I waited a week and a half and I never got the pre-order. I switched for that festival looking costume just because that one seemed a lot easier to get, and it actually was. I only waited 1 or 2 days for that one, and then I switched back to the normal costume. I believe again 1 week later I got that one as well, so I would say maybe it was decent luck with costumes. I believe a total of 2.5 weeks or so to get 2 Guardian costumes. It's not terrible, it's not amazing, but still. That brings me more or less to today, to my current Guardian. I got her a Dead Awakening weapon, the blue one. This one I didn't enhance, this one I bought from the marketplace just because I had an intention to kind of reroll to the Guardian class, but then I realized that as much as I would like to reroll on Guardian, it's not really something viable for me. Guardian reminds me a lot of my wizard grinding. It's very chill, very relaxed grinding. You don't need to smash a lot of buttons like it is on Mystic. I will say after 1 hour of grinding on my Mystic, I can feel my hand literally hurting a little bit. On my Guardian, I don't really have any problems. So in terms of grinding alone, it feels better to grind on Guardian than it does on Mystic. And also she's a little bit more interesting because it's a new class, so I kind of had that thought of rerolling. But then again, she has no weight limit, no inventory spaces, she barely has any costumes, she doesn't have my horse flute, she doesn't have any health, breath or strength levels, she doesn't have any dead weapons, so grinding in high-end areas is basically a no-go. So in the end, unless I decide to drop a lot of money on the game, which I don't want to, I don't think I'm gonna reroll to Guardian. So I bought her that blue weapon, but as I said in the beginning of the video, currently I sold it back to the marketplace. So these days my Guardian has no more weapons because I don't really think I'm gonna go back to playing her. She was interesting to play for about, I don't know, 3 weeks, however much it lasted. Just like anything new, a new class comes out, you want to try it out, it seems interesting at first because the skills are nice and all of that, but in the end, realistically, unless you drop money into the game, it's kind of hard to reroll just because of all of the stuff that needs to be transferred. Most importantly, just the weight limit, inventory spaces, some costumes here and there, but those are not a problem. It's mostly weight and inventory, honestly. So someday I might reroll, but not today. Other stuff to mention, honestly not much. I got myself a new fairy, but that's more or less just, progression. It's not really related to the Guardian class. It is a bit funny though, because I rolled a couple of fairies and I got a tier 3 one, but I didn't realize it at first. I was like, is this a tier 4 fairy? I looked at it and I thought it was a tier 4 fairy, so I released my current tier 4 to level up the new tier 4 fairy that I thought I got, and after I leveled it up to the maximum level and saw that she only learned 3 skills, I realized, wait a second, this one is a tier 3 fairy. it still turned out pretty okay. It has auto potion consumption, it has 5% weight limit, so it's not that bad. It's actually better than the old failure of a tier 4 fairy, but still a little bit funny that I thought it was tier 4 and in the end I got myself a tier 3 fairy. And besides that, that's about it. Currently I'm thinking about trying Mystic Succession. I basically did the Succession questline, I got it, I switched to the Succession tree, I learned basically everything there is because I have a lot of skill points on my Mystic, and after playing with the Succession tree for about half an hour, I didn't really feel like keeping it, and I went back to the Awakening. My initial impression on the Succession for Mystics is that it seems bad, at least I feel like that, because I'm a casual player, I don't do a lot of PvP, for me PvE is more important, and having a mobile class that feels like it flows properly is very important. And to me, as an initial impression, the Mystic Succession felt kind of clunky. I didn't like the way the skills flow into each other and the way some of them actually make you move backwards, and also the fact that she is less mobile and also she recovers shards slower. I don't know, let me know in the comments, would you like me to try Mystic Succession or not, because I might go back to it just to properly test it and properly, get a feel for the Succession, but currently I'm back on Awakening because I feel more at home on that. And that's more or less all I'm going to say for this video, because it's not really good to make it too long. I don't even know actually how long it is, but I would assume it's in the 20s maybe. So I will see you with the next one. I'm trying my best, to start uploading on a regular schedule again, maybe 2 video a week, something like that, maybe. Let's just see how it goes. It's the beginning of March, so a very good start of the month, I suppose. Anyway, I will see you with the next one, and until then, as always, stay happy, and don't forget, please let me know in the comments what are your thoughts on the Guardian class and also on the Mystic Succession. These two I would like to know, because I might go back to playing Guardian if I get a good reason, if someone convinces me to go back to Guardian, and also I might go back to the Mystic Succession if someone gives me a good reason to do so. So yeah, goodbye.